podcast channel. I'm Dad. How you doing? Um, I was not originally going to do this story here. There is this one and another one with a similar title, but we'll look through that to see if it's basically the same thing or not. But then I just before I started recording, maybe like 30 seconds before, whatever, just got another interesting notification about this trial here. And I'm sorry my camera ain't bigger because I'm just over here pointing and you're not seeing it. But what can you do? But Lakin Riley was a student at a college, going into medicine. This fool right here decided to kill her when she was out for a jog. What reason? No clue. No clue. But a suspect found guilty by judge in campus killing, sentenced to life. Now, like I said, what made me want to do this is going to be that notification I just received. And when we get to that point, we'll see what you guys think of that. The suspect accused of murdering Lakin Riley on the University of Georgia's campus was found guilty by a judge on all charges Wednesday, including malice murder and felony murder. And this fool right here is an illegal immigrant as well. He was sentenced by the judge to life in prison without the possibility of parole, the maximum possible. Yeah, well, in some states, life is an automatic 20 years, and in other states or other parts, life is life. You're gonna die there. That's what it means. But anyways, prosecutors called the evidence against the suspect overwhelming, while the defense raised the theory that the defendant could be an accomplice but not the killer during closing arguments in his trial. Yeah, if I ever become a lawyer and the only thing open was a defense, I'd be like, let me see, can I go without a car? Can I go from a house to an apartment? I'm not going to be sitting there defending a murderer, Jose, I'm not going to Ibarra, since I can't roll my R's. That would indicate a hard R, because there's a double R there. If it was a single, it would be a soft R, but it'd be a soft roll or a hard roll kind of thing. Rolling over the tongue. Anyways, 26 was accused of killing the 22-year-old nursing student while she was out for a run after prosecutors said she refused to be his rape victim. Yeah. Jose, an undocumented migrant, was charged with malice murder and felony murder in connection with her death, which became a rallying cry for immigration reform from many conservatives, including President-elect Donald Trump. Yep. I got an idea to combat that problem, and it's just not migrants from Mexico. It's anyone who comes into the country illegally, undocumented or whatever. But guess what? I'm not president yet, so I ain't sharing my thoughts. Jose waived his right to a jury trial, and the case was presented over 4 days in the Athens Clarke County courtroom to Judge H. Patrick Haggard. who rendered the verdict on Wednesday shortly after closing arguments in the trial. Sobbing could be heard in the courtroom as he read the guilty verdicts on each charge. Before announcing his verdict, Haggard told the courtroom that he wrote down 2 statements from the attorneys during closing arguments. One was a statement by the prosecutor who said the evidence was overwhelming and powerful. The other one by the defense attorney who said that the judge is required to set aside my emotions. That's the same thing we tell jurors, he said. That's the way I have approached this, and I did. Both of those statements are correct. In subsequently issuing his sentence on Wednesday, Haggard acknowledged that there can be no such thing as closure in an event like this. As many times as you reflect on the loss, at some point you start smiling about the memories. And I am hopeful that at some point that takes over to a certain extent, but there's very little, including the sentence of Jose, that's going to help much. And I acknowledge that, he said. Riley's family addresses court. There is no end to the pain. Riley's family addressed the court ahead of sentencing with often tearful victim impact statements while calling for a life sentence without parole. There is no end to the pain, suffering, and loss that we have experienced or will continue to endure, her mother, Allison Phillips said. She remembered Riley as smart, hardworking, kind, thoughtful, and most importantly, she was a child of God. She called Jose a monster who took my best friend. This horrific individual robbed us all of our hopes and dreams for Lakin, she said. Lauren Phillips, Riley's sister, said her big sister was her biggest role model. I looked up to her in every way, she said. She brought the joy that I needed into my life and never failed to make me laugh. She said seeing her parents' heartbreak is excruciating and she will never get closure over her sister's murder. We're a broken family of 3 struggling to find out how to live this life through the silence and emptiness that her absence has left behind, she said. Riley's father, Jason, said he is haunted by the fear his daughter must have felt in her final moments. I have to live with the fact that I could not protect her when she needed me the most, he said. Riley's stepfather, John, said she was the best daughter, sister, granddaughter, friend, and overall person that you could ever hope to meet. I plead with this court to protect the world from this truly evil person by sentencing him to prison for life without possibility of parole for any reason, so that he could never have the opportunity to do this to anyone else ever again, he said. Several of Riley's good friends also addressed the court, including Riley's 3 roommates, who had testified during the trial about trying to find and get in touch with her the day of her murder. Connolly Huth said she used to run with Riley, but has since lost the joy of what running was before Lakin was taken from us. I live with excruciating guilt every day that I was not accompanying Lakin on this run and that it was her and not me, she said, crying. I hope and pray that it will never happen to anyone, again to anyone. Lily Steiner said life has been dull without Riley. Lakin left a colossal legacy to everyone she touched, and I have zero doubt that she is still not finished building it, she said. And that is something Jose will never be able to take away. Sophia, help me out with that name, called Riley her chosen family and fearless other half, and said her heart is full of grief, sadness, and overwhelming sense of lost. The loss of my friend has shattered my world in ways I never thought possible, she said, through tears. State shows moment parents learned Riley was dead. As part of the victim impact statements ahead of sentencing, the state showed body-worn camera of officers breaking the news to Lakin's family that she was dead. Her mother could be seen collapsing on the ground, weeping. That's what they endured, Special Prosecutor Sheila Ross told the judge. That's how it was on the day when they came here to look for their daughter. Ross also showed the court videos of Riley, including ones of her running in a race. These are just little snippets that we saw in the investigation that we thought would be important to share with the court that shows not only the type of person she was that you just heard from her friends and family, but the true impact that her murder had on her parents, Ross said. Jose faced a minimum sentence of life in prison with the possibility of parole and maximum of life without possibility of parole for the top charge of malice murder. Ross urged the judge to offer a sentence that brings comfort to this community and one that appropriately reflects the harm that was done in this case, while asking for the maximum sentence. The defense asked the judge to impose life with the possibility of parole. Getting a life sentence is automatic, defense attorney John Donnelly said. There's certainly no guarantee of parole. He added that given the defendant's immigration status, if he were to be released in the future, it would only to be deported. State says evidence loud and clear. Prosecutors called 28 witnesses while laying out what they said was evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that Jose killed Riley, who died by blunt force, head trauma, and asphyxiation, or asphyxia. I hope I said that word right. Ross told the court Jose encountered Riley while she was on her morning jog February 22nd while he was out hunting for women on the Athens campus. Yep. Ross and Riley fought for her life in a struggle. Ross said Riley fought for her life, in a struggle that caused Jose to leave forensic evidence behind. Digital and video evidence also pointed to him as the only killer, she said. The evidence in this case has been overwhelming, and the evidence in this case has spoken loud and clear that he is Laken Riley's killer and that he killed her because she would not let him rape her. Ross said during her closing argument on Wednesday. A forensics expert testified that Jose's DNA was found under Riley's right fingernails. and that his two brothers who lived with him in an apartment near the campus were excluded as matches. When Jose was questioned by police a day after the murder, he had visible scratches on his arms, officers said. He also had scratches on his neck and back, which Ross said could have only been left by Riley. In order to not find him guilty, you would have to disbelieve your own eyes, Ross said. She marked him. She marked him for everyone to see. She marked him for you to see, Ross told the judge. Prosecutors argued Jose hindered Riley from making a 911 call and said his thumbprint was left on her phone. Data from his Samsung phone and the Garmin which Riley was wearing on her run showed the devices overlapped and were in close proximity in the forest where she was found dead, an FBI analysis testified. Jose was captured on ring footage discarding a bloody jacket and 3 disposable gloves near his apartment about 15 minutes after Riley died, prosecutors said. The individual's face can't be seen in the video, but Jose's roommate testified that it was him. The defendant's brother, Diego, also identified him as the person in the video while being questioned by police a day after the murder. Riley's DNA was found on the jacket and gloves, the forensics expert said. Jose's DNA was found on the jacket while his 2 brothers were excluded as matches, the expert said. Yeah, you already said that. That is what we call consciousness of guilt in our business. He threw away those items because he knew he had killed her, and he threw them away because he didn't want anyone to find him, Ross said. Her DNA was also found on an Adidas cap he was seen wearing in the video, the expert said. That cap was not discarded, Ross surmised, whatever that word is, because Jose could not see that there was actually blood on it. Hours after the killing, Jose was also captured wearing different clothes from the dumpster ring footage while discarding the unidentifiable items. In a bag in another dumpster at his apartment complex, Ross said. That bag was never recovered by police, she said. Ross surmised that the bag contained the clothes he was wearing earlier that day, which were also similar to the ones he was wearing in a selfie posted on Snapchat earlier that morning. His digital evidence of posting selfies of himself wearing what is basically his rapist gear in an hour before he leaves his house, that condemns him. He has condemned himself, Ross said. Defense presents alternative theory. My client's automatically innocent because he's an undocumented immigrant. The defense called 3 witnesses, including a neighbor who said Diego had threatened her the night of Riley's murder. The defense said they had planned to call additional witnesses, including Diego, who is in federal custody awaiting sentencing after pleading guilty to possessing a fraudulent green card. However, his attorney did not wish for him to testify. While the evidence in this case is voluminous, it is circumstantial, defense attorney Caitlin Beck told the judge. That's all they can say. Beck told the judge they advised Jose to have a bench trial, trusting that Your Honor could and believed that Your Honor would set aside the emotions in this case and simply consider the evidence. She argued that there is doubt about what was tested and said the judge should be skeptical of the DNA evidence because she wants a murderer to run free. She just wants to get done with the trial, get paid, and move on. Who cares if the murderer goes to jail or not? She presented an apparently that's a big word I can't pronounce right at the moment. Alternative, theory that Diego was actually Riley's murderer and that Jose was an accomplice in covering up the evidence. Kind of hard to be an accomplice when you're the only one there when the camera and everything else only shows one person. Maybe it was him throwing away the jacket, as Diego said. Maybe he was covering up for his brother. And apparently the defense attorney doesn't know how to look at the evidence either. Under that theory, of course, Jose would be guilty of tampering, but that theory does not prove that he was present or involved in the murder of Lake and Riley, she said. Let me see. Scratches under Riley's nails put Jose there, not Diego, as the article has already stated that the evidence has said. Where are you coming up with that one? She said since 3 gloves were discarded, it suggests that there were multiple pairs of hands wearing those gloves. On rebuttal, Ross called the defense's theory desperate and mischaracterization of the evidence. Oh, yeah. There is no reasonable explanation for all of this evidence other than he is guilty of every single count in this indictment, Ross said of Jose. Diego told officers during questioning that he was asleep at the time the killing occurred. A Georgia Bureau of Investigation agent who was on the case testified earlier Wednesday that there was no evidence to contradict that statement. Jose, a migrant from Venezuela, who officials said illegally entered the U.S. in 2022, waived his right to testify during the trial. He had pleaded not guilty to the charges, of course, including malice murder and 3 counts of felony murder. Additional charges are in the 10-count indictment, including aggravated battery, kidnapping with bodily injury, aggravated assault with intent to rape, obstructing or hindering a person making an emergency telephone call, and tampering with evidence. The later charge was that he knowingly concealed evidence, the jacket and gloves, in the murder. Jose was also convicted of a peeping Tom offense. Prosecutors said that in hours before Riley's murder, he spied through a window of a UGA graduate student and said the incident shows his state of mind that day. The student testified that she called the police after hearing someone trying to open her door. Ross said the person at the student's apartment was wearing clothes similar to the ones Jose had on in the Snapchat selfie posted earlier that morning, including the Adidas cap. Reaction to the verdict. Trump released a statement following the verdict in the high-profile trial, saying our hearts will always be with Riley. He also said it's time to secure our border and remove those criminals and thugs from our country so nothing like this can happen again. District Attorney Deborah Gonzalez, whose circuit includes Athens Clarke County, said, "The integrity of our judicial process and the pursuit of justice transcended political considerations." I have no idea what the hell that was just supposed to mean. "Collaboration among law enforcement partners was key in successfully prosecuting this case," she added. The district attorney also acknowledged no sentence can undo the harm caused by Jose, his actions, but we hope it brings justice to Lakin's family and the community. Our hearts remain with Lakin's family and friends as they continue to grieve this tragic loss. GBI Director Chris Hosey also spoke on Wednesday. I murdered that name. Guilty as charged. Today marked a tremendous step in the fight for justice for Laken Riley, he said. While we recognize the significance of today's outcome, we know that the battle is not over for Laken's family and friends as they continue to grieve and mourn her loss. Chris mentioned, "The GBI family stands with you. We lift you up in our hearts and prayers." Well, a sad loss for anyone when they lose a child or a very best friend, or whatever. It's hard on everyone. Yeah, they say time heals all things, but yeah, it really doesn't. It really doesn't. But down here, jail call between Laken Riley murder suspect and wife played in court. Ooh, I don't know. I didn't see that one. So here we are at that story. I just kind of skipped down to it because I wanted to get right to the phone call. A jail phone call between the suspect and his wife also played in court on Monday, the second day of the trial. Police spoke to the defendant, Jose, who is an undocumented migrant, at his apartment in Athens on February 23rd, while investigating Riley's death. The Augusta University student was found beaten in a wooded area on Athens campus on February 22nd after she did not return from a run, authorities said. Her brutal death became a rallying cry for immigration reform and many conservatives, including President-elect Donald Trump. There we go. Jose was detained following the questioning, Epps said. He was arrested that day on murder charges in connection with Riley's death. During testimony on Monday, one of Jose's roommates identified him as the man discarding the jacket in the dumpster based on his cap and loafers. The court on Monday also heard a jail call between Jose, who has remained in custody since his arrest, and his wife, during which she confronted him about the incident. Though the extent of what Jose had told her previously was not clear. His wife repeatedly asked him what happened with the girl. According to FBI analysis, Ramirez, I am horrible with names, who listened to hundreds of Jose's jail calls and translated this particular call while testifying on Monday. She tells him that he has to know something, Ramirez said. His wife said she couldn't understand why his DNA was on the girl and no one else's, Ramirez said. She also told him she couldn't understand how someone could see someone dying and not call 911, Ramirez said. She also told him, "You're not gonna come here and lie to me. I know you know something," Ramirez said. And did it just say he was Ramirez was translating this in court as it plead? Okay, then yeah. Jose would not come out. Sorry. Jose would not comment on her questions or accusations other than saying enough or okay, 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 according to Ramirez. That's what the phone call said. Let me get back to the recent notification. I'll see you in a second. This was just today. And I actually just laughed at the title here. MSNBC blasted for sympathizing with Laken Riley's migrant killer. Meaning they sympathizing with Jose. Well, we know whose side they're on, don't we? Of course, a lot of us already knew that because how they, because who they have working there and what they all, I guess, think is right. Anyways, I think MSNBC could just totally be freaking shut down, and or how about reformed, or how about not reformed? What did the black people say about the cops? Defund? Yeah, let's do that to them. But anyways, MSNBC sympathizes with Jose instead of sympathizing with Laken's family and friends. And yes, they got some backlash. That's what got me laughing. MSNBC has faced widespread backlash after publishing an opinion piece sympathizing with the killer of Laken Riley. Legal analyst Danny Cevallos, I hope, came under fire for his take on the Georgia nursing student's brutal murder and the trial of Jose, 25, but I think in the other articles he said 26. Well, it said 26 for Jose, an illegal immigrant and member of the Venezuela gang, Tren de Aragua, published under a headline saying he never stood a chance. Well, yeah, I mean, you got shit up against you, and oh yeah, you're going away. Jose was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole on Thursday as a judge found him guilty after hearing volumes of damning evidence, including Jose's DNA found under Laken's fingernails from when she fought for her life. The 22-year-old was beaten and strangled to death in February near the University of Georgia campus after Jose attacked her when she was out on a morning run. The murder also became central to the issue of immigration and in the presidential election, as conservatives blamed Biden administration weak border policies for releasing Jose into the country in 22. Yeah, good job, Biden. Despite the overwhelming evidence against him, Cevallos argued that, I think I put an I in that, but anyways, for all the political controversy, the outcome of this trial was never in doubt. Okay, what is his name again? My apologies. Danny. Danny went on to detail how Jose's conviction was a certainty because of technicalities in the legal system, sparking anger from those who say he brushed over the savage for sparking anger for those who say he brushed over the savage murder. The president-elect's son, Donald Trump Jr., led the backlash, tweeting in response, "You literally can't make up this level of depravity." Well, you can't really make up anything this stupid either. After facing outrage over the opt, MSNBC appeared to change the headline of the article on Friday morning to "The guilt of Laken Riley's killer was never in doubt." Junior called, "These people are sick." Continued, sorry. "These people are sick. The guy is a murderer. He's an illegal alien that killed an innocent young woman, but MSNBC would rather go to bat for him." Of course. Joe Rogan. Let me pronounce that. Why am I having pronunciation problem? Joe Rogan, sorry, also waded into the controversy, sharing an image of the article's headline with a savage 6-word response: "What the fuck is this shit?" In his opt, Danny noted that Jose requested a bench trial, meaning his fate was decided by a single judge rather than a jury because of the clear evidence against him. For the defense, this was a hopeless case. Danny then sympathized. The defense did the best it could with bad facts. The bad facts that the defense was trying to lay on the court, not what the prosecution was bringing to the table. While acknowledging Jose's defense stood no chance with a jury, Danny appeared to imply that the killer's bench trial was somehow stacked against him. Again, because of the evidence that was brought against him. Oh, Danny, do you think that could have been something to do with it? But it apparently had no chance with the judge either, since he was convicted anyway, he wrote. The legal analysis argued that the bench trial was still Jose's best chance at having the chance at parole down the line, even while conservatives fumed at the decision not to seek the death penalty in his case. Danny concluded his piece by summing up the technicalities of Jose's case, explaining that the killer will serve consecutive sentences instead of concurrently, which went against Georgia law, offering the best glimpse into the judge's opinion of this defendant. Doesn't consecutive and okay, consecutive means one right after the other, but I can't not remember what concurrently means. Probably the same thing. I don't know. I've always heard that one too. I'm not sure. The opinion piece was quickly met with backlash, with many taking issue with the headline and branding it an attempt at engagement farming. Disgusting article headline suggesting the killer was convicted for reasons other than he did it, one critic said on X. Danny shared his take to his X account and took a matter-of-fact line as he captioned it, "The Jose murder case was open and shut. Here's why even the defense knew it." His tweet was also met with criticism as one X user questioned, "What is the point of this article?" to the user that asked that question, did your question ever get answered yet? And if you happen to be watching this video, could you comment below if your question did get answered or not? Because I'm pretty sure Danny hasn't answered you, and I haven't read the remaining of this article yet. Are you somehow implying that the court proceedings were a sham? That he could in fact be innocent? Are we supposed to feel bad for him? I mean, that's what the defense wanted you to do. That's what Danny wanted you guys to do. Lick and Riley never stood a chance, responded another. The outrage over the opt comes after the nation watched droves of horrifying evidence and heartbreaking victim impact statements presented at Jose's trial over the past week. Riley's devastated family shared stories of the 22-year-old and what Jose tore from them, including what? I do not. I got to look up the pronunciation for that word. But a moment at the conclusion of the trial where her stepfather, John, shared one of her last diary entries. Phillips revealed that she wrote a letter to my future husband shortly before she was killed and addressed Jose as he said, Lakin's life was abundantly and unexpectedly, exceptionally full of promise. The entry opened to my future husband. As silly as I may feel writing this, my old small group leader once recommended it, so here I am. I want you to know I'm thinking about you. I'm working every day to become the best wife I can be by working through my current relationships to best prepare me for ours and our kids one day. I am focusing on God and what He defines as a faithful Christian wife so that I can best embody those characteristics. I pray that you know that it's with my full faith and trust in God that I know this relationship has been handcrafted by Him. The reading brought an emotional response from the court in the same hearing where Jose learned he would spend the rest of his life behind bars. Yeah, that is very tough on anything, but yeah, the only funny thing about this article was MSNBC got blasted for siding with a murderer. I mean, of course, they always side with the criminals anyway, and any other past BS that was happening, because that's what their staff and employees do. But yeah, I actually just read, like I said before, I actually just read the headline on this one and just started laughing because it's always a good time when MSNBC gets blasted for things. So, but yeah. Yeah, very sad once again. If you do watch this, please send your prayers for Lakin's family and friends. And when this gets posted today or tomorrow, and whoever watches this in the future, I'm highly doubting even years down the road that they're going to be healed, fully. You're not going to heal fully from things like this. So, friends, family. Anyways, I'm going to end this video right here. You take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next video. I'm out. Peace.